Senator McGinn and Senate Local Government Committee, welcome. It's a pleasure to conference with you.
Pleasure to be with Tax.
Yeah. My condolences. Our audience seems to get less and less every meeting we have, so I think all the excitement was our last one. But we do have one bill to work on today. That's House Bill 2176, and I know the House passed the original version that had the Arc City and Udall library districts. I would like to see if staff could cover the amendments that got made on the floor in the Senate. It's my understanding that's the only changes to what the bill was coming across from the House.
Please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the conference committee. The Senate amendments to the bill were one, to require that the library district boards that are established when the new library district is established be elected positions, and so it directs the Board of Trustees of the public libraries to establish those district boundaries and then provides for terms of up to 4 years for the members of the new library district board upon election. The Senate also made an amendment with respect to the library district's participation in the regional library system. There's specific language that the library, upon creation of the library district, would cease to be a part of the regional library system, but may petition to rejoin the regional system as a participating library. And then the other amendment on the Senate floor was to add in the provisions of the Blind Information Access Act. And this new act would require the state librarian to estimate the cost of contracting for the provision of on-demand information access services to individuals who are blind, visually impaired, deafblind, print disabled, or who have another disability. And so providing services for those individuals to access digital content is contracted by the state librarian, who would estimate those costs and certify that amount to the Director of Accounts and Reports and the Administrator of the Kansas Universal Service Fund. Upon such certification, then the State Treasurer would transfer monies from the Kansas Universal Service Fund to the Information Access Services Fund. That transfer would be done in 12 equal monthly installments over the fiscal year to fund that contract for the state librarian.
Okay, thank you. I might turn to my House conferees if there's any questions on the amendments that were covered. Okay. I might ask to see if we can refresh my memory on the library district boards. When they have their budget, is that budget a standalone budget, or does it go through the school districts to, essentially they they adopt their budget as a library board, but then is it levied through the school district budget?
That's correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it would be a standalone budget and calculation of the levy that would be imposed by the library district, but it is run through the school district because that is the taxing district, and the boundaries are the school district in terms of which property is being taxed.
Okay, because, yeah, as a county commissioner, I know we always approved, we had appointed boards that would adopt their own budget, cemetery districts, fire districts, whatnot. But then the county commission kind of had the ultimate authority to approve and then levy that. I was curious if this would work the same way. So would a school board have the authority if they felt the budget was not responsible? Would the school board have any authority to reduce or change that budget?
Mr. Chairman, I do not believe the provisions of the new acts would allow the local school board to modify or adjust the budget, as that would be set by the library district board. I believe there is provision that the levy is not considered a levy of the Board of Education. I think it is simply for levy and collection purposes. It is run through the school district, but I don't think they would have any kind of veto power over the library district budget.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. But they could send it to the Board of Education, and the Board of Education, if they did think it was irresponsible, could send it back. They wouldn't, I don't see how they would have to approve it if it's got to come before them. I would think they could send it back.
The language of the two acts directs that the taxes are to be levied and collected in the manner of other taxes, and the Board of Education shall certify such levy to the county clerk, who is hereby authorized to levy the tax on behalf of the library district. There is no provision under the acts for a review and any recommendation by the Board of Education back to the library district. They just certify what is provided to them by the library district board in terms of the amount to levy, and then certify that to the county clerk.
Okay, and help me here as well, because I was also on a county commission and served also as the chair of the fire department. I mean, not chair of the board. Well, I was a chair one year. But anyway, I recall having authority to make changes on there. So how is it different? Is it because of county resolutions or ordinances? I guess they do resolutions, but that's different than a school district?
Yes, I would. That would be the difference, is that you're dealing with a county administration and county taxation versus the local school district Board of Education. I'm just not familiar with any provision that grants the local school board the authority to review such a budget and suggest amendments or reject such a budget that's proposed.
Okay. All right, I'll go to Senator Francisco.
Thank you, and if I could add something. So this bill that we're looking at only deals with these two library districts. So if there's any questions about how the taxes work and whether individuals who are elected, who are levying those taxes, this now would just change it for only these two districts. And we would have the same situation in the rest of the state, that the library boards are the ones setting those local taxes.
Is that a question?
It's not, it's sort of just understanding that it may be a question, but I'm not sure why we would want to make it different for these two new library districts rather than back up and have a bill that addresses the library districts as a whole.
Yeah, Senator, and that's been, as I read through the different changes, that's the one thing that I've kind of gotten hung up on, is electing these. I don't know if anybody's done any research. Are there any other boards that are elected, library boards that are elected by the public, or are they all appointed?
Yeah, could I have Jill Shelley answer that question? She did some research
Certainly.
for us on the floor because of that.
Perfect. Yes, please.
Yes, there are library districts that are different boundaries than, like, say there are two townships that decide to form a library district, or two cities that decide to form a district. Those special districts do have elected boards. The ones that are within the confines of a municipality, for example, generally have appointed boards.
Okay, so if there's a change in the district boundaries that's either just different than a regular municipality or a school board in this situation, they typically aren't elected. Okay, because, is that mainly because the board that's appointing them is elected? I mean, yeah, I don't mean for you to try to speculate on that, but I'm just trying to think through this. True, the board, like in this situation, the school board might not have the authority to change their budget, but that board is the one that appoints these, the library board members, if I understand that correctly. So they may not necessarily have direct control over the budget as it's presented, but they do have control over the people that are appointed and serve on this board. Is that accurate? I just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly.
Mr. Chairman, under the bill as passed by the House, 4 members of the Library District Board would be appointed by the governing body of the city, and with 1 member residing outside the city, and then the other 3 members would be appointed by the Board of Education, where the library district is. So it's between the city governing body and the Board of Education in terms of those appointments.
That's right, okay, but they are all elected officials that are making these appointments?
That's correct.
Ultimately, okay, all right.
And
Yeah,
I have one more question, unless you're following up on that.
no, please continue.
Just to be clear on the taxing line item, the taxes that you would see would be a line item on your property taxes, and it would come under the library taxing district versus the school.
Madam Chair, we would have to confirm that, but that would be my understanding, as there is clear language under each act that the tax levy is not to be considered a tax levy of the Board of Education. So in disclosing the taxes to the taxpayer, it would be incorrect to identify that as a school board tax because it is not as a library district board tax.
Thank you.
I don't mean to beat this to death, but I'm curious, in other library districts or other situations like this, if we just, when the language that Mr. Long had read about shall certify to the county clerk, if we just change that to may certify, does that throw a wrench into the way all the other districts are currently run? But that does still give the school board the authority to, I don't know if you want to call it veto authority, but it gives them the chance to say, hey, this isn't what we wanted. Gives them a chance to send that back to that local board if we would change that one word. But I don't want to get out of place with what is currently in effect for all the other library districts. And we might need to come back and take a look at that, give them some time to check on that.
Mr. Chair, while they're conferring with one another, I'm going to have to go to an ag conference committee, but what I was wondering, we still need to do some checking, but we are looking at a possibility of inserting Senate Bill 529 into this bill. But we still have a little homework to do. This 529 deals with the Peasley Tech College. That bill passed local government twice, did not get above the line. This year it went through Ways and Means and passed. Out into to the floor, and for some reason there was a motion to send it back to committee. It's my understanding 2 years ago, is that correct? In 21?
Actually, in 2021.
Okay, the House did pass this bill as well, 122 to 2. So it's not like it's a new deal. It's just that the poor thing can't seem to get above the line. And I have talked to my leadership, and they seem to be fine with it. But we, as a conferee committee, we need to do a little vetting on a couple things. So if they need more time to get the answer that you had asked, and then we can do our work, I'm wondering if we can't just kind of come back and perhaps wrap up all the answers, and if that works.
Certainly, yeah, and I know you have a committee at 1:30, so we can certainly do that. Give us a chance to review, was it 5:29? Is that correct?
5:29.
Okay. We'll review that and see if, just make sure we understand the provisions of that. But yeah, would be more than happy. Do you want to, how long do you think your ag conference will take?
Well, we're talking prosecutorial authority over hemp growers, so I'm
that'll
guessing
be
it
a
might
quick
take
one,
a
won't it?
little time, but
Did you want to try to set another time?
I'd like to set it, I've got we think a quick local government one after the second adjournment.
Okay.
And so I don't know what your next tax schedule is.
Just got a text, we've got 3 concurs and an agree to disagree motion, so our 2 o'clock might be a little while, and then I know we've got a tax conference pretty quick after that again, so I'm not sure what the rest of your day looks like.
I'm wondering if I could just communicate with you and see if yours is going to get done around 4 or 4:30, and if that's the case, we could hopefully have answers to all this, and we could wrap it up quickly. But
Okay,
and then if not, I guess we could probably come first thing in the morning and wrap it up.
sure, and I'm pretty sure that we'll be going back in at 4 o'clock too, so if I need to make an announcement at the well, we can do that to set the time, but I'll stay in communication with you via text message, and we can get that set.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.